Warm greetings, everyone. On behalf of W4W Foundation, a think tank instituted as Citizens Collective, we welcome you to another session of Wednesdays for Water. The conservation efforts are actually done here through conversations, and today's conversation is a part of the biodiversity series we have been conducting for nearly a year now. Wednesdays for Water is a water conversation series towards understanding better the nuances of water conservation and management. The objective is to engage with water experts, grassroots practitioners, policymakers, and youth to learn their thoughts and ideas about these complex intertwined issues associated with water and the possible solutions they are exploring and seeking. We have expanded to more activities like the Friday Waters and Monday Munching with Women for Water, besides organizing water workshops, water walks and talks, seminars, special courses, conference panels, and publications to continue the water conversation in various possible ways. Do visit our website www.w4w.in for more details. My name is Mansi Bal Bhargav, and I am the facilitator from W4W for the session. And we have Dr. Jayati Chourey to do the session moderation. Dr. Jayati Chourey is the Executive Director at SaciWATERs. She holds a PhD from IIFM Bhopal and FRI University Dehradun. She's been closely inclined to water with nearly 16 years of research and practice. She's worked across South Asia and African regions in the management sector of water with environmental consultancies, international development organizations, rural community-based organizations, academia, and policy research. I shall now hand it over to Jayati to take the session forward. And over to you, Jayati, and thank you so much for organizing it so diligently for nearly a year. Over to you.
Thank you, Mansi, and good evening, everyone. Welcome to our today's online session titled Seaweeds and Seagrasses, Guardians of Coastal Biodiversity. So before we begin, let me provide you with a background on this series. As we all know that our planet Earth is a home to infinite number of creatures, including us humans. Scientists believe there are between 8 to 10 million different kinds of creatures here. But there's the interesting part, most of them, especially the ones in places where we don't look at much, like deep oceans and jungles, haven't been even discovered yet. Now, every creature in this nature has a role to or a job to do. They all have their own place and purpose. Even though humans are just one kind of creature out of all these millions, we have a big responsibilities because we are causing harms to other creatures. So presently, the rate of biodiversity loss is in fact alarming. According to Intergovernmental Science Policy Platform on Biodiversity and Ecosystem Services, IPBES, about 1 million plants and animals are in danger of disappearing forever. The World Wildlife Fund says that wildlife population have gone down by 69%, and species living in fresh water like rivers and lakes have decreased by 83% in the last 50 years. It's important to pay attention to these facts and do something to protect our fellow creatures and nature world and natural world we all share. With this, in this context, we have designed this special series called Water and Biodiversity, where we meet online generally every second Wednesday of this month, like exceptionally this month, it's third Wednesday. And our goal is to help more people learn about the amazing creatures that live in water and understand how to protect them. In each session, we explore a new aquatic world and discover some incredible species that call this planet a home. Our aim is to show you the bigger picture of how everything in nature is connected and why it's vital to take care of our aquatic ecosystems. The series was launched in February 23, and we have organized 8 online sessions of the Water and Biodiversity series on um, For example, our first session was on indigenous freshwater fish biodiversity. The second one focused on marine vertebrates of India. Then the third one on aquatic habitat, mammals in aquatic habitat, and then the next one on coral reefs. Then we had mangroves. Then we talked about aquatic macrophytes. Then we covered plankton, and last session was on exploring water snakes. I would like to share that the recordings of all our previous sessions are available on the YouTube channel of W4W Foundation. After providing this background, once again, I welcome all of you to the Water and Biodiversity series. And it is my distinct pleasure to welcome you to our today's session, which is on seaweeds and seagrasses. Our ocean, often referred to as the lungs of our planet, play a vital role in maintaining the delicate balance of our ecosystems. Today, we gather to explore the intricate relationship between water and biodiversity with a special focus on often unappreciated heroes of our coastal regions, seaweeds and seagrasses, and they form very crucial or essential part of blue forest. And these humble marine plants are not only uh, uh, pleasing in their appearance, but they also serve as an unsung guardians of coastal biodiversity. Their significance extends far beyond their visual appeal, as they contribute to the health of marine and ecosystems, support diverse marine life, and even play a role in climate regulation. Uh, so, um, Over the course of this webinar series, we will dwell into the fascinating world of seaweeds and seagrasses. And now I would like to invite our first distinguished speaker, Dr. Amit Kumar. And before I invite him, I would like to request all of you to participate actively in this seminar, because it's very important to have your views and your knowledge. Let me introduce our first speaker, Dr. Amit Kumar. He has done his master's and PhD in marine biology, and he's currently working as an associate professor research in the Center for Climate Change Studies, Satyabhama Institute of Science and Technology, Chennai. His research includes marine and coastal biodiversity assessment and understanding the impacts of climate change, particularly ocean acidification and marine organisms, especially seaweeds and associated communities. A very warm welcome to you, Dr. Amit. Over to you. Yeah.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. First of all, let me thank the organizer and the moderator for Wednesday for Water Biodiversity Series. Let me share the screen. So I suppose it's visible.
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, fine. So it's my pleasure to talk about the seaweed and the seagrasses at this platform. What we will see in today's talk is that first, what are the seaweeds and the seagrasses? What role they play or how they are important? What are their importance in the ecological as well as the economical aspect? And what sort of threats they are facing on the planet Earth? And how do we, what do we know about it? So before to delve into what seagrass and the seaweeds are, first I would like to take you to snorkel in the seagrass and the seaweed beds in the Parkway area of our country. So let me play the video. I hope it's visible. While the video is
Yes,
being
Amit.
played,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
While the video is
Please
being
go ahead.
played, I would like to bring a few facts and the figures about the seaweeds and the seagrasses. As you can see that the seaweeds and the seagrasses combinedly comes under a umbrella term called as macrophytes, which of course includes other species as well, like mangroves in the coastal ecosystem. Seaweed and the seagrasses mostly occurs in the subtidal areas in the coastal ecosystem, and you can see that mostly around 1 to 3 meters in the water. Most of the seagrasses you have, and there are more than 72 species of the seagrasses present worldwide. Out of that, almost 16 species are reported from the Indian coastal waters. And we have to be very proud in saying that the Pak Bay and the Gulf of Mannar and several other locations within our country are very unique because they host or they have more or less around 15 species of the seagrasses coexisting within the vicinity in a small area. Uh, Seagrasses are basically available across the world coastal ocean except the Antarctic cold waters of the Antarctic. Now coming to the seaweeds, as we can see that unlike the seagrass where we have 72 species globally, seaweed have more than 20,000 species across the world in the world ocean, and this is not restricted even in the colder waters. So basically, it is available across the world. And we can see that there are different types of the seaweeds. First, we can classify in terms of their pigmentation. There are green seaweeds, there are red, and there are brown seaweeds. And we can also classify them in terms of their appearance. For example, some of the seaweeds you can see in the more in the form of a turf, uh, which we can call as algal turf, which are very basic in appearance and the structure. Then we have the fleshy seaweeds, which are more or less looks like a plant, and it appears with the hohlfast types, fronds, and so on. And the third type, in terms of appearance, are coral. Calcifying in nature. As you can see here, uh, is it, wait, I will use the point. Okay, so as you can see that there are calcareous algae, which looks very much similar to how coral looks like, but they are basically not corals, but the red seaweed or comes under the rhodophytum. So these calcifying algae are also called as unsung heroes for the reefs, because in the architecture of the reef, because they play a very vital role in the formation of the reefs in the water, where even we have the corals, right? Uh, there are seaweeds such as kelps in the temperate waters and sargassum in the tropical waters, which forms a massive underwater forest. And you can see one such example of sargassum, especially Sargassum fluitans and Sargassum natans. There are two species of sargassum, which forms a landless sea. I mean, which is not surrounded by any land. That is a Sargasso Sea in the middle of the North Atlantic Ocean. And the characteristic of this particular Sargasso Sea is that it holds a lot of species which are endemic to that particular locality. And of course, like other seaweed and the seagrass beds, it is a nursery and the breeding and the feeding ground for numerous invertebrates and the fishes in this locality. Of course, I would also like to bring attention to few of the seaweeds which are there in the slide. As you can see in the center part, there are few grapes-like appearance. So these are called as sea grapes. Then again, you have green seaweed, which are more in bubble shape in the bottom part of the slide. So they are the bubble seaweed. So likewise, we have plenty of varieties in the morphologies in the seaweeds, in green, brown, and the red seaweeds. So after knowing that how the seaweeds and the seagrasses appears in their natural environment, let us have quickly look that how we can differentiate or what are the differences between a seaweed and the seagrasses. So as you can see in the slide that seaweeds basically have a frond, blade, stipes, And in order to float on the surface, in order to do the photosynthesis, they also have air sac or the bladder, which fills with the gases and helps them to be on the surface of the water in order to do the photosynthesis. However, what difference you will see between the seaweed and the seagrasses is that in the seagrass, we have the two roots, stems, leaves, like any other plants, even in the terrestrial environment. The holdfast in the seaweed, which appears like the roots, are actually to hold the rocks, but it does not have any properties which generally the roots have in the plant. Another major important point of difference is that in the seaweeds, we do not have the vascular tissues or the conductive tissues like xylem and phloem for the transportation of the foods and the nutrients, whereas in the seagrasses, we have that. So these are the basic differences between the seaweeds and the seagrasses. They play a very, very important role. Let us start first with the seaweed. Seaweeds, even though we do not realize the importance of the seaweed in our day-to-day life activity, but generally we are consuming in most of the days. And not only the consumption in the form of the food, but also they have plenty of the metabolites, which plays an important role in the medicine. However, ironically or unfortunately, these are called as weed, even though they do have a lot of economical importance as well as the properties useful to other organisms. Apart from the direct use from the economic point of view, these ecological, these macrophyte beds comprises of the seagrass and the seaweeds play a very important role in the ecosystem services. They are the primary producers in the coastal waters. So basically the base of the marine food wave or the food chain. They play an important role in the carbon sequestration. So some of the numbers says that the seagrasses, for example, occupies less than 0.1% of the sea floor, yet they contribute to more than 11% of the global carbon sequestration in the ocean. So not only the carbon it sequesters, it also helps to dissipate or the attenuate the wave and brings down the energy of the wave in the coastal environment. It helps in trapping the particles or the uh, uh, particles in the water and then suspend it into the sediments. So thereby helping it into the nutrient removal. So if we see in terms of the economical value, seagrasses have been known to provide ecosystem services of more than 20,000 USD per year. The another amazing feature for the seagrass and the seaweed bed is that it supports a huge biodiversity. One of the quote you can see from the Charles Darwin voyage of the Beagle in 1839, where he compares the kelp forest biodiversity or the biodiversity supported by the kelp forest is much more than the terrestrial rainforest. And he has highlighted the point that even in the different portions or the different parts of the macrophytes, for example, on the leaves, on the fronds, on the stems, there are plenty of micro and macro invertebrates associated with it. And of course, there are few charismatic organisms such as the sea cow or dugong, which are dependent for their diet to the seagrasses, and also the green turtles, which feeds on a specific species of the seagrasses. In our own research in the laboratory, we have been monitoring the biodiversity associated with the intertidal seaweeds, Chetomorpha antinenia. It's a green intertidal seaweed of Covelong Beach in Chennai. And over the years, we have found plenty of microinvertebrates associated with it. And last year, we have also discovered one novel species of the amphipod, which was there in the same thalli of the Chetomorpha antinenia. So what I'm trying to say is that there are biodiversity, or there are species which are there hidden under the plain side, and we have to look into it. And a number of species which were not reported previously have been now more and more being found associated with the seaweed and the seagrasses. As a result of the ecological and the economical benefits of the seaweeds and the seagrasses, a number of attempts have been taking place across the world coastal ocean for the restoration or the cultivation of the seaweeds, as well as the restoration or the transplantation of the seagrasses in the world ocean. I'm not going in detail that which species and how much and everything, but because of the ecological and the economical importance, there are a number of attempts have been made. Despite all the benefits which we get from the seagrass and the seaweeds, like any other ecosystem, even the seaweed and the seagrass ecosystems are being under threat, mostly because of the anthropogenic activities, and that induce also uh, uh, climate change related consequences, such as the temperature rise, sea level rise, ocean acidification, unsustainable fishing practices, uh, uh, coastal development, urban infrastructure, or more and more river runoff, more and more of the pollution. So everything combinedly leads to the are becoming the bigger threat to these ecosystem, seagrass and the seaweed ecosystem. So one particular example I will just give quickly because it is what we've been working in the laboratory, mostly on the ocean acidification. So ocean acidification is a consequence of the climate change, wherein the excessive carbon dioxide which we produce goes into the atmosphere, and ocean acts as a sink for these atmospheric carbon dioxide. So when this carbon dioxide mix into the seawater, it reacts with the water and makes the carbonic acid, wherein further disintegrates into the bicarbonate and the carbonate. What it does, what it causes is a scenario where the H plus ion is increasing, and it is leading to the ocean acidification. So there are long-term time series data available in different part of the ocean, and that has been consistently suggesting that the increase in the atmospheric carbon dioxide is directly proportional to the increase in the carbon dioxide in the seawater, and uh, having a very good inverse correlation with the decrease in the seawater pH. So what this increase in the ocean acidification causes, mostly harm to the calcifying organisms, because calcifiers are depending on, calcifiers are doing the cell deposition, which is being depleted because of the acidified condition, and less carbonates are available for them to rebuild their shell. So calcifying organisms are impacted much more. However, the non-calcifiers are also indirectly being affected because it affects their physiology, it affects their reproductive physiology, and so on. How do we study that, or how do we understand that what impacts are happening in these marine organisms due to the climate change? One one way to understand, or one way to study is to look into those places across the globe where naturally carbon dioxide is being emitted in the shallow waters, and that is causing reduction in the pH in the vicinity. And if the organisms are present there, then we can understand that what is actually happening or what may happen in future under the ocean acidification scenario. So one such carbon dioxide vent is there in Ischia in Italy, in the central part of the Italy, and where what is happening. So I'll play a video. You see that how carbon dioxide bubble is coming from the seafloor, and the studies have suggested that, or when in 2008 this first study by Jason Hall Spencer have came, it suggested that there is a shift in the community where the pH is decreased because of the seawater acidification, natural seawater acidification. So we see a lot less calcifying organisms over there, a lot more seaweeds and the seagrasses, in particular the fleshy seaweeds and the seagrasses, and also the algal turf, which are increasing in the lower pH environment. So that gave us the idea or the opportunity to understand that how the seaweeds in particularly and the seagrasses been adapted to this particular lower pH condition. Where I studied, and then we found that there is a particular species of brown algae called as Sargassum vulgare, which has been adapted to grow under the lower pH condition. Of course, in general, a general understanding is that increase in the carbon dioxide, it means that much more substrate for the photosynthesis, and the photosynthesis increases, and the autotrophs are getting benefited. But what we generally do not consider or understand is that okay, photosynthesis may increase, but other physiological factors, other physiology in the seaweeds and the seagrasses may also have the negative impact. So natural CO2 vents in Ischia helped us to understand that. And as I was saying, that increase in the carbon dioxide or decrease in the pH can lead to a cascade effect on the various physiological fitness, as well as also at the community level changes. As you can see on the screen, if the uh, if the carbon dioxide in the water increases, it leads to the ocean acidification. It affects the carbon uptake mechanism of the seaweeds and the seagrasses that may impact the photosynthesis. Photosynthesis impacts the growth and the biomass. However, the negative impact, if it changes the, let's say, polyphenol in the seaweeds and the seagrasses, which acts as a anti-grazing or the deterrent for the organisms to graze over the seaweeds and the seagrasses. If that is being impacted, it will ultimately affect the marine food chain and the food web. So thereby, what is to be understand that there is no direct benefit, or we cannot always say that all the species of the seagrass and the seaweeds will be benefited under the ocean acidification scenario. So there may be species specific response, and what happens is that if the physiology or the biochemical properties or the nutritional value of the seagrass and the seaweeds are being impacted, that may affect the coastal food chain and the food web. So that is what at present we've been studying, wherein we are bringing the seaweeds from the Pag Bay and from the Kovalam. And in the laboratory, we've been doing the experiments in order to understand that how the growth physiology are being affected because of the decreased pH, and whether those changes in the physiology is affecting the biochemical properties in the seaweeds and the seagrasses, and whether that changes in the nutritional value may or may not have the impact at the to the primary consumers, for example, amphipods or isopods or gastropods associated with these seaweeds and the seagrasses in the especially in the tropical seaweeds and seagrasses. So that is that we've been studying. So I'm not going into the result of all those, but luckily or fortunately, whatever species we have tested, one green seaweed ulva and two red seaweed Gracilaria folifera and tabilis, and in all of them there are not much negative impact. There is actually a positive impact because they grow faster. Uh, However, in case of Gracilaria, we found non-significant decrease in the polyunsaturated fatty acid. So that may have implications uh, in the food chain when the organisms or when the associated community will feed on these Gracilaria may not get the enough nutrients. However, we still have to study how the associated communities are being impacted when they feed on these kind of seaweeds. So that's it from my side for today. So we look what they are, what are their importance, and what general threats they are facing. So with that, thank you.
Jayati? Yeah. Amit, could you please close your presentation, please?
Yeah.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much. Yeah, go
yeah.
ahead, Jayati.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Amit, to help us taking into this fascinating world of seaweeds and seagrasses, and also guiding us through the ecological importance and the challenges they face in this changing environmental landscape. So, thank you very much once again. So, we'll connect with you again after after our next speaker's presentation. So now we with us we have Mr. G. Ramakrishna. He is the founder and secretary of the Association for Active Service in Rural Areas, which is based in Vizianagaram district of Andhra Pradesh. Asra is currently engaged with 6,000 small marginal farmers, tribal communities, women, weavers, fishermen, and youth groups in the region. Um, and I would like to highlight here that ASRA has initiated a pilot project on seaweed cultivation in Konada village, collaborating with the scientists from CISR, CMSR, CMSCRI Mandapam. And I'm also pleased to share that ASRA was honored with a national award for promoting a green environment on like recently on November 29th, which was presented by the Foundation of MSME Clusters. So, very warm welcome to you, Mr. Ramakrishna.
Thank you. Are you hearing me?
Yes, we can hear.
Okay. Now it is correct. My microphone phone is somewhat disturbing me. So, first of all, I congratulate my earlier speaker for his best one. And I am, good evening all. So, to be frank, I am zero knowledge in seaweed. And this is an eye-opening session to me. Amit is very extensively presented scientific, that is scientifically and technically high in than my presentation. So that's why I congratulated him, and this is good to me. And today I'm this is my first presentation in Zoom meetings. So,
Congratulations, sir.
If there is any mistakes, please excuse me for that. And I am starting now.
Yes, sir.
So behind my presentation, there is a technical presentation of Mr. Amit ji. So it is very good scientifically and technically. And seaweed, first I am starting with seaweed. Seaweed, the word seaweed is broad and refers generally to marine macroalgae. So as earlier Amit ji said, which are algae living in salt or brackish water and visible to the eye. So seaweed is the common name for countless species of marine plants and algae that grow in the ocean as well as in rivers, lakes, and other water bodies. So also known as sea lettuce, seaweed also known as sea lettuce, sea fan, and sea holly, respectively. They are just 3 of our 800 species of seaweed found abundantly in the waters along the India's 7,506 kilometer coastline. Sustainable superfoods. They are one of the latest food trends to take the plant-based diet crazy to a whole other depth. Seaweed can be categorized into three different colors: red, green, and brown, as you have seen in the earlier presentation. Each of the sea vegetables has a different nutritional makeup, but all produce chlorophyll by photosynthesis. The darker red and brown seaweeds contain extra pigments that allow them to capture light in deeper waters. Presence. Seaweeds are abundant along the Gujarat, Tamil Nadu and Gujarat coasts and around Lakshadweep and Andaman and Nicobar Islands. Rich seaweed beds occur around Mumbai, Ratnagiri, Goa, Karwar, Varkala, Vizhinjam, and Pulicat in Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, and Chilka in Orissa also. Seaweed are a kind of algae, as earlier said. Despite not being a plant, seaweed is often categorized as a sea vegetable. Sea vegetables are a group of edible seaweeds that are used in many cuisines around the world. They are often used as a substance of vegetables in dishes, such as in seaweed salads. Seaweed has been a part of diets in China, Japan, and Korea since prehistoric times. Next slide, please.
Yes.
Seaweed contains a wide range of.
Sorry, just a second. Yeah.
Oh,
sorry.
Seaweed contains a wide range of vitamins and minerals such as vitamin K, B vitamins, and is the best dietary source of iodine, which helps support your thyroid gland. The primary mineral components in seaweeds are iodine, calcium, phosphorus, magnesium, iron, sodium, potassium, and chlorine. Added to these are many important trace elements such as zinc, copper, manganese, selenium, molybdenum, and chromium, along with antioxidants that help protect your cell from damage. Both tropical and marine fish gets benefit from seaweed and other aquatic based algae, which may enhance the immune system and provide anti-inflammatory benefits. Seaweed is a food source for ocean life and range in color from red to green to brown to black, eaten by koi fish, rainbow goby, and betta fish, for example. As a medicine and herb, the seaweed fiber-rich foods may help with diabetes. This because high amounts of fiber help regulate blood sugar levels and insulin levels. Seaweed contains fiber and sugars, both of which can be used as food sources for the bacteria in your gut. This fiber can also increase the growth of good bacteria and nourish your gut. Seaweed may help you lose weight because it contains few calories, filling fiber, and fucoxanthin, which contributes to increased metabolism. Seaweed may help reduce your cholesterol, blood pressure, and risk of blood clots, but more studies are to be needed. Alginates are used in wound dressing, and dental mold making. Agar, an extract from seaweed, is used as a culture medium. Other extracts like carrageenous, alginates, and agaroses with other macroalgal polysaccharides have biomedicine applications also. As an environment friend, two environmental requirements dominate seaweed ecology. These are seawater and sufficient light to support photosynthesis. As macroalgae takes up carbon dioxide and releases oxygen in the photosynthesis, macroalgae fronts can also contribute to carbon sequestration in the ocean, as elaborately said by Dr. Amit. And he also shown all the visuals to how photosynthesis will happen like that. And seaweed cultivation in the open ocean can act as a form of carbon sequestration to mitigate climate change. Studies have reported that nearshore seaweed forests constitute a source of blue carbon. As seaweed detritus is carried into the middle and deep ocean, thereby sequestering carbon and sequesters carbon faster than any other species. Seaweed's other uses. Seaweed may be used as a fertilizer, compost for landscaping, or to combat beach erosion through burial in beach dunes. Algae fuel, algae biofuel, or algal oil is an alternative to liquid fossil fuels that uses algae as its source of energy-rich oils. Also, algae fuels are an alternative to commonly known biofuel sources such as corn and sugarcane. When made from seaweed, it can be known as seaweed fuel or seaweed oil. Seaweed is under consideration as a potential source of bioethanol. Alginates are used in industrial products such as paper coating, adhesives, dyes, gels, explosives, and in processes such as paper sieging, textile printing, hydromulching, and drilling. Seaweed is an ingredient in toothpaste, cosmetics, and paints. Seaweed is used for production of bioaeronol, means textile, for textile. Seaweeds are used as animal feeds. They are long have been grazed by sheep, horses, and cattle in the northern Europe. So come to seagrass. Seagrasses are the only flowering plants which grows in marine environments. So in this also you have shown in detail in Amit's presentation. There are abundant 60 species of fully marine grasses which belong to 4 families, all in the order Alismetals. Seagrass evolved from terrestrial plants which recolonized the ocean 70 to 100 million years ago. Seagrasses support commercial fisheries and biodiversity, clean the surrounding water, and help to take carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere. Because of these benefits, seagrasses are believed to be the 3rd most valuable ecosystem in the world. In India, the major seagrass beds exist along our coastline of Gulf of Mannar and Palk Bay regions on the east coast, Gulf of Kutch region on the west coast, the lagoons of islands in Lakshadweep, in the Arabian Sea, and Andaman and Nicobar Islands in the Bay of Bengal. Some animals such as manatees, urchins, conches, and sea turtles eat seagrass blades. Other animals derive nutrition from eating algae and small animals that live upon seagrass levels. Bottlenose dolphins and a variety of wading and diving birds are used seagrass beds as feeding grounds. Largest species of seagrass in the world, the sprawling seagrass, a marine flowering plant known as Sidonia australis, stretches for more than 112 miles, means 180 kilometers in Sark Bay, a wilderness area protected as Wild Heritage Site, said Elizabeth Sinclair in his write-up, a senior research fellow at the School of Biological Science and Ocean Institute. So I little bit compared with seaweed cultivation. I took two varieties. One is Glaciaria edulis and another is Kappa picus. I compared these two in cultivation economical. We tried here both, and it is under pilot. So we took 3 meters by 3 meters bamboo raft. In that, some three rafts we used Glaciaria edulis and 5 rafts for Kappa picus alvarici. So the two varieties grown in a duration of Glaciaria duration is 45 to 60 days, and Kappa picus alvarici is 45 days duration. So quantity in the early stage, early planting stage, 5 to 6 kgs is Glaciaria edulis, and Kappa picus takes up to 50 to 60 kgs for seed as seed material. So after the 45 to 60 days Glaciaria and Kappa picus 45 days, though both varieties will give biomass harvested 45 to 50 kgs is Glaciaria, and selling rate is at the rate of 50 rupees per kg, means 2,500 is income per one raft. So we put 3 rafts in ocean. So means 7,500 is our coming in income. And Kappa picus we harvested quantity we mentioned here to 240 and 260 kgs per raft, means now the present rate is per kg 20 rupees per Kappa picus. We estimated like that on hearing some nearby friends, and some are doing in the banks of Mandapam area. So they said that Kappa picus is they are selling per 20 rupees. So in a calculation, 260 kgs of Kappa picus harvested yielding is up to 5,000 income. 5,000 is giving one raft. So we put 5 rafts into the banks of our area. So 5 by 5 is 25,000 total Kappa picus variety giving, and glacial area is giving 7,500. This is an estimate, rough estimate, not so. The harvest time is not completed yet. We are going for harvesting these two within 10 days. So up to now, we completed 30 days for this, and another we are waiting for 45th day, I think. So another 10 to 15 days, we have to wait and see for this. So we estimated like this. So and in our area, next slide, please. No, photos.
Yeah. Can you see the photos?
Yes, one by one.
Yeah.
So these are all beneficiaries of Konada village, and Konada is in 20 kilometers distance from Vijayanagaram town, and all the beneficiaries are belongs to fishermen. So we took them to Mandapam, as you said in your presentation. CMSCRI means Central Salt and Marine Chemicals Research Institute. We approached them in October and took these beneficiaries to that place in November. In November last year. So after that, we tested in Konada village with 50 kgs of seaweed seedlings and got good result. And now in the last month, we started pilot with the help of the same institute. So now we completed 30 days for that pilot, and within short period we are going to get the results. So we are waiting, and we are waiting for a good result. In between, here the area hit by the Michong cyclone. Due to that, fresh water rushed in our pilot project place, and that stayed up to water stayed up to 3-4 days. For that, seaweed a little bit disturbed also. So and gradually it is taking into gradually it is changing its color and all. When the cyclone occurred, that time all the seaweed turned into white color, and now it is going to which are you are all you are seeing in the photo. The seaweed is dark brown, and for rupture of the fresh water, color has been changed during the cyclone time, and now it is gradually gaining the color and strength in our place. So we are waiting for good results. So that is our presentation. Where are the next photographs? Yes, this is in our training time.
Wow.
And some more. Yes. these photographs taken during our training time.
Thank you.
Thank
Sir,
you, madam.
please
Thank
close
you
the
for.
slideshow. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Over to you, Jayati. Yeah.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Ramakrishna Garu, for this informative and presentation, and also for sharing details about your pilot projects. And we wish you all the best, and we are sure that it will be a big success.
Thank
And
you.
it's
Thank you,
nice
madam.
to see that local communities are also involved in this kind of biodiversity protect conservation related projects, and then they have some incentive for them to protect biodiversity. So these are the like real world examples that both human well-being and biodiversity conservation can go hand in hand. So thank you once again. And now
Thank you.
I would like to invite our young friend Gayatri. She's from Mumbai. She has done her master's in zoology. And she was, interestingly, she was also part of this WII Campa project on focusing in Gujarat, focusing on dugong and seagrass collection. So, very warm welcome to you, Gayatri, and over to you. So, you can now lead the discussion session. So you can ask one or two questions, and then like if one of us also wants to ask questions, we'll also pitch in, and then you can also give some like opportunity to the audience. So either you can pick up some questions from the chat box, or you can also invite them to switch on their audio video and ask their questions by themselves. So thank you so much, Gayatri.
Yeah, thank you, Jayati. Yeah.
Over to you.
Amit, I wanted to ask, like, what would be the difference between the grazing patterns of dugong and the sea turtles, or any other organisms that are feeding on the seagrass? Is there a
So,
difference in that?
so basically, as even the size of the dugong, they consume much higher quantity of seagrasses when they and mostly on those smaller sizes of seagrasses like Halophila and all. Whereas the green turtles mostly prefers the Thalassia, which is mid-size to large size of the seagrasses. And also, I guess when the dugong feeds, it feeds more or less like 30 to 40 kg of the seagrasses in a go. So it creates also a kind of trails when the where the dugong is feeding on the seagrasses. And in the turtles, mostly the green turtles, where more or less 90 to 95% of the feed for the green turtles are composed of the seagrasses, and they are eating also voraciously to the seagrasses. And of course, I remember that read a paper on Lakshadweep archipelago, where due to overgrazing by the green turtles, there are meadows of the seagrasses which was completely lost. So yeah, they fit in that way. And apart from these two major charismatic organism, if I remember well, mostly when I look into the micro invertebrate communities in the seagrasses, then you will be able to see small holes or small size of cut on the seagrasses when you talk about the bivalves or the gastropods when they are attached to the seagrasses. And then and then there are fishes which lives in the seagrass meadows fed on them. And also one time we have encountered also the shark, not yeah, it was shark, I guess, shark egg case in the seagrass meadows. So there are plenty of other organisms also using the seagrass meadows, right?
And as you mentioned, like seagrass, they seaweed, they'll be floating on the surface, and we get seagrass on the bed of the ocean. So we'll be able to find both of them together. Like if sea weed will be floating up, sunlight might not reach down, right?
Yeah, so what happens is that for the seaweeds in particular, they are also present on the in the intertidal region, especially on the rocky surface. Majority of the seaweeds are attached on the rocks, majority of them. However, there are few species. For example, I was talking about sargassum, natinens, and flutens, and also some of the red seaweeds. I think some of the gracilaria as well, uh, which are free living. They are not attached with the hold fast on the rocky substrata. So that is possible. So in a nutshell, you can see that in the intertidal, rocky intertidal, you will be able to see the seaweeds, majorly no seagrasses. Seagrass requires muddy or soil in order to hold on, and you can be able to see both seaweed and the seagrasses in the same subtidal environment. They do share the habitat, and as a result of which, also you see what happens is when there are more nutrition or when there is a pollution, when there is a, let's say, high nitrogen content in the water, right? So that promotes very aggressively the growth of the algae. So they do share, I mean, there is a competition for the space, of course. And also when there are epiphytic algae as well, which grows on the top of the seagrasses, as a result of which they inhibits the sunlight to the seagrasses. So yes, seaweeds you can be able to see from the intertidal to the subtidal and even in the deeper waters. Seagrasses you will be able to see mostly in the estuarine waters or in the swamps or in the subtidal waters, mostly between 1 to 3 meters of the depth. However, there are reports also where the seagrasses were reported in Australia, I guess, up to 50 to 55 meters deep. So there are one or
Yeah.
two isolated cases of those seagrass species as well. Uh, but in the subtidal, they do share the habitat, seaweeds and the seagrasses. Also, in one of the video which I played in the very beginning, you'll be able to see that there are bubble seaweeds, that is Borgesenia species, and very next to that you could see the different species of the seagrasses. So that is available in the park there as well.
Okay. I wanted to ask Mr. Ramakrishna, like for this Asra project, the seaweed that is cultivated, are they planning to, like, will it be exported out or it will be used here only? Because I haven't seen much marine products, like seaweed products here used in India. Hello.
Hello, please repeat your question.
The seaweed that is being cultivated through your project in Asra, like, are they planning to export it or will it be used here only?
As of now, we have no plans. We are trying to link market in Gujarat,
Oh,
and one doctor, I think Dr. Reddy Garu is there. He's a scientist and retired person is an excellent scientist in seaweed. So he is assisting
hmm.
us. So that
Okay.
as of now, we are no plans. We are planning.
Okay, okay.
So that is only
So
pilot program.
uh, we'll take some questions from the chat box.
Uh,
Uh,
yeah, Gayatri, I also have a question. Can I ask?
yeah, sure, go ahead.
Yeah. So it's a very basic question, but I think both Dr. Amit and Ramakrishna Garu would be able to answer it. We see this kind of conflict because we had one session on corals, and we were surprised to know that coral comes under forest department's purview. So I'm actually interested to know, curious to know that who is responsible for this seagrass and seaweeds conservation, whether it's fisheries department or forest department or like any other.
I think
Okay.
forest department is the responsible for all see. Let's see, all we are seeing the forests in the land, in the earth, on the earth. So,
Okay.
like forests on the earth, there
Yeah.
are forests in the sea also. Undersea waters, huge forest is there. Larger areas are there. So that marine area also comes under forest and environment department. So that they are, I think they are responsible. And indiscriminately, some are quarrying the corals, stealing some um, uh, black sand like beach sand. Beach that is black color. So these are also comes under forest department. They have to protect all these.
Okay.
And, Dr. Amitji, please share your
Yeah.
thoughts.
Yeah, I
Yes.
think they all are part of this blue forest
Yes, yes.
Yes.
ecosystem. Yeah.
Yes. So basically, if we have to restore the seagrass or conserve the seagrass, of course, the uh, forest department plays an active role in that. Example in the Dugong Conservation Center, which is there very recently made as a conservation when that as a reserve area in the Park Bay. In that, forest department is trying to increase the seagrass cover uh, because it is important for the dugong. If they want to conserve the dugong, they have to conserve the seagrasses. So
Yeah.
in that case, the role of the forest department, Tamil Nadu Forest Department, let's say in this case, they are actively playing a role in the seagrass restoration. Of course, I think for the seaweeds, even the aquaculture and the fisheries, they are playing a role. And if you have to export, then I guess MPIDA and other agencies are there with whom you have to interact in order to export the products based on the seaweeds. But if you talk in terms of the conservation and as a forest, then forest department, you need to take the permission from the forest department in order to do the work. Also because for example, in the seagrass beds, we have the sea cucumbers or the pipe fishes or the seahorses. So everything are protected. So of course, we can do work on the seagrass restoration and seagrass, but then we have to be careful with that.
Okay. And one more question. I recently came across certain research because see at now at a very large scale plantation or cultivation of seagrass and seaweeds is promoted, and it's looked at like it's considered as like one of the solutions towards food security and then carbon sequestration. But at the same time, I recently came across certain studies which say that this unplanned promotion of a seagrass or seaweed plantation is not sustainable, because it's then replacing the natural biodiversity of the system. Because if you are linking it with livelihoods and linking it with market mechanisms, so then it might replace the whole natural ecosystem, and then the focus will be only on the species which can give you more yield, more income. Because here also in his Ramakrishna Garu's presentation also we saw that there are like certain species which can give you more income than others. So there is a danger, just like monoculture or mono species plantation.
Yeah. So Ramakrishna sir, do you want to add on that or?
Sir, tell me, sir.
Okay, so what happens with the seaweed cultivation, especially seaweed? There are only, I think, 2 or 3 species of seaweed cultivation which has been successful, at least in our country. That includes 1 or 2 species of Gracilaria and then Carpophagus.
Kappa Picus.
Problem with the Carpophagus is that, of course, different agencies says differently. If you look into the complications with the biodiversity, then Carpophagus is a very fast growing seaweed,
Yes. 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 Yes.
and if it is left out in the sea, then it will be very difficult for the seaweed to survive. And if it is left out in the sea, then it will be very difficult for the seaweed to survive. it is occupying the spaces, or it is growing on the top of the coral, for example. So
Yeah.
once it grows on the top of the coral, corals are very slow growing organisms. So it competes for the space, it competes for the sunlight, it
Light.
competes for
Yeah.
the nutrition, and then it takes over the coral. So if the coral is a complex system, organism, so it supports a lot of biodiversity. Whereas Carpophagus may support the diversity, but mostly at the micro invertebrate level. So that's a problem in the seaweed cultivation. You need a lot of permission to take. You cannot simply take. So as far as I understand, that even in the mandapam, in the Park Bay area, the cultivation is going on. In Gulf of Mannar, it's restricted, and CSMCRI and other agencies are monitoring uh, where the cultivation is happening and where they are putting the labs, because it's very voracious. It's also, I guess, I'm not sure, but I guess it's invasive. I mean, it's coming from the different country, so it's not a local seaweed. So
Yeah, so
that is,
that's the concern, yeah, people are sharing.
yeah. So
Yeah,
we have
thank you so much.
also encountered, when we have done the snorkel, we have encountered a lot of places where we have, in fact, in the video also, you could see the caulerpa, that sea grapes, on the top of the one massive coral. So that kind of examples are becoming very common these days.
Thank you.
I think East Coast, in East Coast, there is no coral reefs. I think.
In Andhra coast where you are trying, right?
In Vijayanagaram district. So you know Vijayanagaram, so nearby Visakhapatnam district. Yes.
So we'll take one question from the chat box.
Yes, please.
So how do we know as layperson the health of seas based on presence of seagrass and seaweeds?
Okay, so generally, uh, in our country, at least, there are not much awareness where people are going for snorkel or for scuba or for this glass bottom uh, fiber, that glass bottom boats and all, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's I mean, in most of the time you will not see many laymen going into the sea and seeing the seagrass and seaweed. However, I mean, as people are becoming more aware, what you need to see with the seaweed is that if it is single species, it is dominant in across the seabed, then it's not a good sign. First, second is that if it is algal turf, which is more like a mat, and not a complex seaweeds, native complex seaweeds. For example, here in our coast we have Gracilaria or Sargassum, and if that is not there and if it is covered with the algal mat, then it's not a good sign. Similarly, with the sea grasses, most of the restoration uh, I mean, first of all, the restoration of the seagrass is a very expensive affair. Very less success has been seen in our country, at least. So you will see, if you see globally, in most of the coast, you have one or two or three species of seagrasses at one particular geographical location. We've been fortunate that we have the locations like Park Bay and Gulf of Mannar, where we have more than 10 to 12 species living coexisting in the near vicinity. So if we have such kind of diverse seagrass beds and seaweed beds, then it's a healthy sea. If it is being replaced by mono species, then it may not be a good scenario. Also, sometime, as I said, that because of the freshwater input into the sea, it brings a lot of nutrients, or let's say river runoff or agriculture runoff. It brings a lot of nutrients. So previously, in the historical time, if it was a seagrass bed, and there, if you see a lot of seaweeds occupying the space for the seagrasses, then again, it's not then that's a sign that the place is under the stress. So maybe we can think in those ways.
Okay. So sorry. Uh, like can we see any species like during the intertidal zone? of any seaweed?
Yeah. Intertidal seaweeds are abundant. If you go to any rocky beach, you will see ulva, you will see Chitomorpha, even Gracilaria on most of the rocks.
Then is like also pollution a cause for them not being present? Because here in Mumbai coast, we take shore walks. Generally, shore walks are arranged, so we don't usually find seaweeds during those walks here.
Maybe because of the pollution or because of the what happens, for example, in Kovalam, where we go for our frequent surveys, uh,
Mm,
when the rocks are exposed, people are walking on the rocks. So even those
yeah.
things makes it, like not a very favorable place for seaweeds to thrive.
Yeah, in Mumbai, we just find plastic bags. You should see during the low tide if you go to this Girgaon Chapati and all. It's just
Yeah,
the
yeah.
plastic bags, just like it's fully covered.
Yeah.
No,
And
no,
then
for
after
Plastic
the
is the new weed. Plastic is the new
season
weed,
also.
Yeah,
artificial weed.
that's the real weed actually. Others are not weed. Plastic is
Yeah.
a weed.
no, some countries are facing many problems with seaweed also. I think I heard and I have seen in one article, the Caribbean islands are
Yes. With the sargassum.
seaweed is creating more problems to the Caribbean islands. I think.
Yeah. So what happens because of the again linked to the climate change and then the oceanic circulation pattern changes, a lot of this Sargasso Sea sargassum, it's being diverted or it's being uh, transported towards the Caribbean islands as well as in the Gulf of Mexico coast, and
Yes,
it deposits like 10 feet,
it's
15
good.
feet of seaweeds.
Yes,
And these seaweeds in their air sac do have the dimethyl sulfoxide and the DMS and DMSP, which is a typical volatile sulfur compounds, and it smells bad.
uh,
And those beaches are basically tourist beaches. So till the time there are these seaweeds on the beach, there are no tourism, so lack of earning, and also it smells bad. Uh, so that is a huge problem. Previously, it was happening rarely, and now it is happening, I think, more frequently. So that's again linked to the climate change with the sargassum problem. Also, with the climate change, there are many other problems happening, like tropicalization of temperate. Let's say, like because of the increase in the temperature, the seaweeds are moving toward north, or not only seaweed, most of the organisms, if they have the capability to, uh, like invade the Mediterranean or other temperate areas, they are moving in that side. So destroying their native population. So, like how lantana is doing in our forest. So, in the same way. So, if that happens, then again the native population declines. And as I was saying earlier, that when we see a decline in the seaweeds or the seagrasses, it is not only restricted to that, because there are hundreds and thousands of microinvertebrates and other biodiversity which is associated with the seaweeds and the seagrasses.
yes.
So any loss on the seaweeds and the seagrass also cause the loss to hundreds and thousands of the associated biodiversity community with it. So that's what now we've been trying to look that if the seagrass or the seaweeds nutrients and the biochemical properties are being impacted, then how the associated communities are going to get impacted. Because let's say if the polyunsaturated fatty acid or essential amino acids are, if it is becoming lesser and lesser because of high temperature or because of acidification, then the organism needs to eat much more than what they used to eat before. So in that case, the grazing will increase, and also the polyphenol, which is a deterrent in the seagrass and the seaweeds, if that decreases, then it is more prone for the grazing by these kind of primary consumers. So that will change the dynamics of the marine food web and the coastal food chain food web.
Yes.
So I think Mansi has a question, and Mansi, I know she must be looking at the watch also.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Jayati, for conducting the session. Maybe I will also do the closure with the question if you don't mind. Yeah.
Yes,
So,
yes, please.
yeah, because yes, I am looking at the timeline for editing issues. Yeah,
Yeah.
thanks a lot. And I have a very general question again as a layperson. So, thank you, Gayatri, for asking this important question on pollution. And plastics itself is our series, which is going on. Plastic pollution is another series, just like biodiversity series in Wednesdays for Water, and it happens on 4th week of every month. So we are going to discuss that more, but right now focusing on the cultivation. And just now, as Amit very rightly said, overgrowth growth is also a problem, and then undergrowth itself is a problem, and the way you are looking at its relationship with other biodiversities. So my question actually is the very idea which I think Jayati had also put it across, the very idea of cultivating these kind of things and really taking it across to the livelihood opportunities or commercialization of it. The very fact that Ramakrishna sir said that yes, there are people who are now taking it up, and I mean, you mentioned some professor from Gujarat, and based on their research, you are taking it up. And in Oriental science and Oriental civilization, seaweeds and seagrass have been part of our everyday life and food. It's just that India does not consume it so much. But if you go to Indonesia, if you go to Japan, China, it's a very much everyday food. I like to know from both of you as a last, a remark or closing remark from both of you. How do you see the future of seaweeds and seagrass if we start cultivating and start eating it for all the goodness which Ramakrishna sir showed in his slides, our health benefits? Are we also going to destroy the sea and ocean just the way we have destroyed our monocultured forests and land? Closing remarks from both of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So I will just quickly add on that. Rightly pointed, if it is like a monospecies seaweed culture, and if the species is not native and the species is very vigorously, I mean, having the capacity to grow very vigorously in the wild, then it's a risk. It's a risk that I think we should not take, uh, even at the cost that we need them for our own livelihood, because that will definitely going to destroy the marine forest or the marine wildlife. If we are very much location specific, if we are growing the native seaweeds in a much more controlled way, then maybe that's a way forward we can think of for various benefits it is having. For the seagrass cultivation, as of my understanding, is not happening for the human consumption. It's happening mostly for the restoration of the, let's say, as a fish aggregation, or for the increase of the
Environmental protection.
biodiversity, environmental protection. Again, uh, if the fishes are increasing, let's say because of the seagrass increase,
Beds.
then we are again going to catch those fishes. So in that aspect, or otherwise, how, for example, in the Dugong Conservation Center, they've been looking for the seagrass restoration for the conservation of the dugong. Then again, it's a good thing. But as here also, just one species may not be a good idea in any of the seaweeds or the seagrasses. So that's
Thank you.
my
Yeah.
suggestion.
Yes, I am
Yeah,
supporting
thanks,
also.
Amit. Sir, just to adding to my question here, Ramakrishna sir, I would like to also understand how fisher folks with whom you are working, are they anticipating some alternate livelihood through seaweeds and seagrass?
Mhm.
Because it's not in the mainstream livelihood. Over to you. Closing remarks from you.
No, they are going to fishing now, but
Yeah.
uh, there some other problems also happened in earlier years. Um, Industrialization is also one point to pollute these sea banks and sea coast. So for that, fish depletion has happened. So these are not having that much income regularly, and that's why we suggest them to take up this activity as alternative.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
So
Thank you so much, sir. Yeah, go ahead.
Just one question
Yeah,
can I
yes,
ask? Like,
Jayati, I
are
was
they?
going to come
Yeah.
to you only. Yeah, go ahead.
No, no.
Closing
So,
remarks.
are in India, are they also being used for phytoremediation? Because
pardon.
just Ramakrishna Garu mentioned about this industrial pollution, so then I thought maybe these seagrass can be used to remediate pollutants.
So seaweeds are, I mean, known to have the remediation potential, but up to the best of my knowledge, there are no large-scale phytoremediation happened with the seaweed. Maybe at the lab scale or at a smaller scale, people been trying, but up to the best of my knowledge, there are no such remediation I mean, placed in
Okay.
at a wider scale.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Amit
Thank you,
and
Mansi.
Ramakrishna sir. Yeah. Thanks, Jayati. We have to really find out a ministry for all biodiversity, because the biodiversity is floating between water, forest, and fisheries,
It's
and
everywhere.
that's where these overlays of departments and ministries also makes it extremely difficult even for researchers and conservation efforts. I like to go to Gayatri quickly for the closing remark to ask her experience of working with these alternate species, I will say, because not many youth are found in this zone to work on. And how do you find your love in this field, Gayatri? Closing remarks from you.
It was amazing. Like while I was in Okha for this project, we had to go through this seaweed, actually seagrass samples only, and we used to find small microorganisms, and you used to look through them in microscope and to identify what they are, and to see so much diversity in that. Also, it was very incredible. Then when they took us out for collecting samples, we got to know how, like, even though Gujarat is mainly, how do we consider, it's a vegetarian state, if you must
Yes.
say, most of them, their livelihood is based on fishing. Many of their
Yeah.
livelihood is
A
based on.
lot, actually, a lot, because we have the longest coast.
So I was surprised, like how they fish. They are
Yeah,
fishing and
Veraval is a large fishing area in the country. Huh? Huge percentage of fish in the country comes from Veraval port,
yeah,
Veraval zone. Yeah.
then
Could you spot a dugong dugong?
it is very difficult during that project, as it was closing during the last month. I guess they got a drone shot of dugong. Not even
Okay, interesting.
got a drone shot. Then like that only, while we were collecting samples, we also saw that sea grapes.
Okay.
Wow.
Which is it is so interesting, but because people like us who are not working in the underwater sector and also over land sector, we have a general perception that grass is okay, good, and the moment the word weed comes, a negative connotation is attached to
Hmm.
it, and
I
we
don't know
have to
why
also
they
take.
call it wheat.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a fundamental question. And also, personally, I feel, philosophically as well, anything that Mother Nature grows naturally is good for nature. And I
Yeah.
think we have lost that feeling, whether it is on land and under the sea. And the whole idea of farming is, I see now, learn from you people, is also going underwater. And we are doing sea farming and all. So that's different. We can continue talking about this wonderful subject, but please pardon me. I have to declare the session to be closed for today. But before that, let me take the honor to thanks, first of all, Jayati Chourey to really conduct this series so patiently and getting us wonderful speakers from across the country. Thanks a lot also to Amit Kumar and G. Ramakrishna sir and our young dear scholar Gayatri to really enlighten this session with a wonderful talk. We are really a long session today, but I think it was worth to give this a try as a longer one. Thanks to all the participants here in Zoom and on YouTube who make our water conversations meaningful. We thank you for your support and encouragement. And I also take this opportunity to thank my wonderful team, which really puts things together to bring us all of you. You may reach W4W at www.w4w.in. We will continue with Wednesdays sessions with more Wednesdays to come. Next Wednesdays for Water session is on 27th of December at 5 p.m. IST. Do join us for Pollution Series, as I was mentioning. And this Friday, next Friday, actually 29th December, do join us for Friday Water Arts. We have an artist from Berlin, and it is also at 5 p.m. IST. Do keep checking our social media handles as well as website for the regular updates. And we shall also continue our Monday Munching with Women for Water. Last but not the least, I think I must share with all of you that we are gearing for a water festival to celebrate our 250 plus water conversations, and that's going to be held at IIT BHU, which is Varanasi. So we are looking forward to having many of you there and to enjoy the water festival in a very, very informal and interactive way. More of the info is also available on our website, www.w4w.in. Do take care of yourself. Thank you and goodbye.